Hi and welcome back to Virtual Done Well. The topic this week is what are the attributes of a great VA? I mentioned in a previous video that I've had some outstanding virtual assistants and I've had a couple that were so-so. So over the last 8 or 9 years, I've learnt to identify, to recognize the potential in a really great VA. And that's what I want to share with you this week. Okay, so if you're looking for a virtual assistant, what are some of the attributes you're going to be looking for? Now, I should preface this by saying my experience of virtual assistants is hiring virtual assistants from another country, generally a lower cost country, and in particular the Philippines. But some of this is going to apply regardless of whether you're hiring virtual assistants locally or from an overseas country. So what are some of the things that I look for? And then I will actually come back and prioritize them at the end. Okay, so, and there's also a couple of other videos I'll link to as well, so I won't try not to forget that. So what are some of the key attributes? Number one that I hire for is attitude. And a lot of these are going to be the same for any staff hiring, but these are specifically the ones that I'd like to share on hiring VAs. So attitude. I look for somebody who's got some energy, they've got curiosity, they're keen to learn, and they've just got that spark about them. I feed off, other people's energy. That might sound a bit weird, but I love working with people who are, excited about what they're doing and proactive and all that sort of stuff. So I generally look for that during the interview. And I've actually got a video of a live VA interview. So let's share that link with you. We'll put it up here. And I actually, with the VA's permission, recorded the interview as it was going. So that'll give you an idea of how I do an interview. So the first thing is attitude. I want to get them talking as much as possible. I want to see, their sort of energy levels, their interests, their desire to learn new things. And what I find is that if you hire someone with the right attitude, everything else almost doesn't matter. Hire for attitude, skills can be learnt. That's a very common saying, I think, in hiring any staff. But it's particularly important with a virtual assistant because you are working remotely, and there is, that physical distance, but also that cultural distance very often. And just that remoteness can make it a little bit awkward for some people. I don't find it a problem at all now. This afternoon we had a Zoom meeting with all of our staff in the Philippines, and there were dozens and dozens and dozens of people on this Zoom meeting, and it was great. We were all having a chit chat, seeing how things are going during the lockdown and so on. So you very quickly get into the swing of it. But number one, attitude is going to count for so much. And when I talk to friends who've hired virtual assistants recently, that's the one thing they comment about. We just seem to have this knack of hiring people with a great attitude. And, I just hear it time and time again. Whatever her name is or his name is, they're fantastic and they're proactive and they get stuck in and, they're a joy to work with. You want someone that's going to be a joy to work with. And I learned that from day one, 8 or 9 years ago now, when I hired my very first virtual assistant. And I think I've told this story on another video. But basically, I did a video interview with three different VAs. And the one that stood out amongst all of the rest was a young lady who said, "Hi, Rob, I've had a look at your website. I understand your business. These are probably some of the issues that you need help with. I can help you with this, 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 and this." And she kind of led the interview. And I thought, wow, she's going to manage me. This is brilliant. I want someone to help me manage my time, manage my tasks and things like that. So it really is a two-way thing. Don't think it, and it's an awful term, but I heard it for the first time a week or so back. Don't think of a VA as a task monkey. A lot of people that you hire online kind of have that sort of persona perhaps, where they're just waiting for you to give them stuff. If you want a really good VA, you don't want a task monkey. You want someone who's going to be an integral part of your business, who's going to be proactive, who's going to be pushing you as much as they're pushing you, you're pushing them. Help, my staff are brilliant. They make sure I don't forget things, and they keep reminding me of stuff, and we have a brilliant working relationship, and all of that comes down to attitude. So attitude is absolutely my number one. The next one I'd probably mention is experience, and this is a bit iffy, to be honest. In our teams, we have some VAs with a lot of experience. I have one in my team who's worked for 2 years in the US as a personal assistant. Fantastic, practical hands-on experience. I have another lady who's worked in the Middle East for 5 years as a personal assistant. So you got that kind of experience. We've got people who have obviously been a virtual assistant for a number of years doing different tasks, and that's great. And all of that is good, but I don't think it's never going to be above attitude. So depending on what you're looking for, that experience is obviously going to count, but number one is attitude. Funnily enough, I was talking to our recruiting manager today about actually this. We have virtual assistants who've joined us direct from college. It's their first job. We have virtual assistants who've joined us after a few years work experience, either in a bricks and mortar office or online. And both do really well. And we came down to the conclusion it was all about the attitude. So I keep coming back to that. That's number one. So that brings me on to the next one, qualifications. Sure, attitude beats experience and qualification every time, but there's going to be some things where you actually need some qualification and experience. So one of my team, for example, is an absolute whiz at systems. So, marketing systems, CRMs like Infusionsoft, Ontraport, iContact, she knows them all. Integration of all of those into websites, ClickFunnels, lead pages, all of that stuff to set up her events. She knows all of those. She knows Zapier and how to integrate them all. That's fantastic. That stuff takes a while to learn. So, if you're after a technical role like that, then obviously you want some prior experience and some good qualification. So all of my team have university degrees in their particular specialisation, and I think all of our, not just my team, but across our whole office, they're all degree qualified in whatever they do. So, for example, I have 2 video editors who've joined us straight out of college, but they have done degrees in multimedia, production and marketing and so on. They're fantastic. So qualification counts for technical things. Obviously it does. So have a good look at those. The other thing that you probably want to look at in terms of experience, depending on what your business is doing and the tools that you use, you probably want people who can use all the Microsoft Office products. Generally most virtual assistants can do that pretty well. You might have planning tools like, Trello, Basecamp, all of those sorts of things. You might want experience in that, though they're pretty easy to learn. And one of the things I found with a really good virtual assistant is they will teach themselves stuff. Very often I don't know how to use half of these tools. I'll just say, look, is that a good tool for doing stuff? Yeah. Do you know how to do it? No. But they kind of say, look, by tomorrow night, I'll know. And they just go off and learn. And they're fantastic at developing their own skills like that. So don't hold them back. That's another thing. Don't hold your staff back. I'm always encouraging mine to learn new things, even if they're not directly applicable now. For example, I found some really good online Facebook advertising training, and I got some of my team to watch that and go through it, because it's good to have as background knowledge. They might not be doing that kind of task directly, but it's good for them to understand that, and it helps them put context around what they're doing. Broader training and stuff like that is always really good. The last one I'm going to come to is language. Why have I left that till last? Depending on the role, that could be your first priority. No, attitude's always going to be number one. But language is very often going to be a very, very close second. depending on the role. So obviously, if you have a virtual assistant that you want to be calling your customers, that you're going to be talking to daily. I mean, my executive assistant, I probably talk to her 5 times a day about all kinds of stuff, and then she's helping to manage the rest of the team. So it's really important that we can communicate well. Her English is perfect. So language is really important. She talks to my clients, and again, I think I mentioned this on another video. My clients don't call me anymore. This is wonderful. They call my executive assistant because they know that she has, she manages my diary. She'll get meetings in when they want them and all that kind of stuff. They just ring her directly, and sometimes a client will email me, and say, oh, I need to have a chat, Rob. I've CC'd your EA, and I know that she'll set things up for us. So for that kind of stuff, we're interacting with clients, interacting with you a lot. Obviously, language is really important. Where it's not so important, I find, is in some of the technical roles. So we have some web developers whose English is really good, but you wouldn't necessarily want them, talking to clients. But that doesn't matter because they're doing technical, back office web stuff. They're great. So, customer service, you're going to want someone with really top level English and not too much of an accent and so on. And I have to say most of our staff are like that. So there we go. There's probably other attributes that you think are important. I'd love to hear what those are. Maybe you could comment down below. If you have any questions about those attributes, do ask those questions as well. So just to summarize, and I'll put these in sequence. Number 1 for me is attitude. I want someone who's positive and so on. Oh, there's another really good video that I'll give you a link to, so I'll link to the interviewing one. We'll put that up here, the live interview. And also I'll link a video give you a link to a video which was titled something like, Can I Trust My VA? So we'll put that one up here as well. Can you trust your VA? That's all part of that attitude thing. Number 1, attitude. Probably number 2 for me is language. Probably number 3 then is qualification. Number 4, experience. There we go. That's my priority in terms of attributes of a fantastic virtual assistant. If you target those, you're going to end up with a great VA. I have no doubt about it. So that comes to the end of this video. If you're fairly new here and you haven't subscribed yet, you might want to. We cover all sorts of topics here, not just about virtual assistants, but about small business, about marketing. And so if you're finding them useful, you might want to think about hitting that subscribe button. And there's a bell down there as well. If you hit that bell, you get notified every time we have a new video coming out. And they come out on a Wednesday. So thank you for watching. Really appreciate your time. I hope you got some value out of that, and I'll see you next week.